Hey, welcome back to This Week in Pharmacy. This is another episode where we get to kind of go back to my roots in Fayette County. I'm from Fayette County, Pennsylvania. So our broadcasts all over the nation are coming from Brownsville, Pennsylvania, which is a small city within Fayette County. And I got to talk with our county commissioner, Scott Dunn, last week. This week, we get to talk with two members of our county that have been involved in county politics and administration and support and growth for our county on multiple fronts. I want to introduce Sheriff James Custer and John Marietta, who's currently our recorder of deeds, right?
Yes, I'm a recorder of deeds.
Recorder of deeds. But I'm glad to have both of you here. I'm excited that I get to mix in local discussions that are being spread nationally with other pharmacists that are listening in that may be in another state. But guess what? There's things happening in other counties throughout our great nation that you're going through, and we're all going through. So I think it's time for me to use the experts in my own community to kind of spread throughout the rest of the nation what we're doing. And I'm going to start with Sheriff Custer. Just a little bit of your background and when you became sheriff and how long you've been involved in Fayette County.
Well, I've been involved in Fayette County mostly all my life. I was elected sheriff in 2015. Prior to that, I was a deputy for 4 years from 2011 until 2015. And then before that, I was a Pennsylvania state trooper. So I did 25 years with here in the state police, and my last 17 years was right here in Fayette County. So, and I'm an Air Force veteran.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your service too.
Yeah.
So we've known John Marietta for some time and have supported your original podcast, John, and your ability to communicate to your constituents in our community has grown, because now you run an entire radio program, which has been kind of cool to see it grow. But tell our listeners about your background and why you've become involved in Fayette County leadership.
Well, I've lived in Fayette County all my life, just almost like Jim. I'm 60 years old. I have a wife I've been married to for 40 years, and I've got 3 kids, 7 grandchildren. And when I got involved in this, we started doing a podcast with you and Hiller when he was up there, and then we moved on and we started the radio show, and we're somewhere around 100,000 listeners right now on the radio show and viewers between all the platforms we're on. The one thing that I've spoke of already is I have 7 grandchildren, and Jim and I both really believe that by doing things for the community, I mean, we have a Christmas show on the radio that we do, and Jim comes on every year and reads. This is just something neat, but he comes on and reads the night before Christmas. There was 42,000 people that viewed the Christmas
Holy
show
cow.
this last year. And we don't only do just fun things like that, but we talk about important things, and important things like the opioid problem, the fentanyl problem that me and Jim have spoke of on the radio show more than once. And I'm here more to be educated from Jim and you, being in the pharmaceutical business, because I'm running for county commissioner now, and my goal is to find money so he can help the problem.
Yeah.
My goal is to find money, bring money into Fayette County so the local pharmacies can help the problem. My goal is to find money so I can help you help us take care of the problem. And that's where I'm at. I'm a we the people candidate, and it's kind of just simple for me.
You know what? I think of the stress that teachers and law enforcement are under now compared to when I was young, and the respect that was automatically given to our state troopers and our police officer. It's just, I mean, if a police when I was young, if a police officer would have said anything to me from a corrective measure, I mean, oh my, not only did I think I would probably going to get home and get in trouble, like someone would have known about it, but I mean, so that understanding of how law enforcement is there to support and help a community prosper, that sentiment seems like it's been eroded over the years for whatever reason.
Yeah, you're 100% right. In the beginning of my law enforcement career in 1989, that's how it was. But I think now, if somebody asks, "Is this something that you'd want to do again and choose this path?" I don't know that I could say yes today. And I agree with you on the school teachers. I have two daughters. One's a speech pathologist in the school, and the other one's a special needs teacher in our schools. And so I know what they're saying. Teachers say, "Hey, I wouldn't want your job." I tell them same thing. I wouldn't want your job today. It's a
Right.
whole different environment than what it used to be. So, yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us.
It is. It's just I think a part of it is a breakdown in what community is,
Right.
and how when I was growing up, I grew up in Connequenessing, Pennsylvania, way up north in Butler County, and our neighbors, they not only did they know us, but the adults that were part of those households um, were were authoritative to me, and I respected their authority. Meaning, if they said, "Hey, can you help me pick this tree up out of my yard?" Or, "Hey, your dog came in our yard," and because we had a German Shepherd that would go chase chickens, and we'd heard that, and we not only respected, but we tried to help each other because it was as a community, and it just seems like today there's less and less and less community, which I think draws us back to some of the sociological issues that you're dealing with as obviously a sheriff. But I kind of wanted to kind of drill down into our relationships in the county with community pharmacies, number one. And then number two, some of your strategies that you'd like to share with our listeners about being a sheriff in modern day. And it's more difficult now
Right.
with regards to, the opioid epidemic.
Yeah, I first I'd like to start. I am a board member of our local Fayette County Drug and Alcohol Commission, and another board member is a local pharmacist. So it's nice having
Oh, cool.
having the pharmacist on the board. So the work that they do and the insight that they're able to relate to us helps a lot, because when you're working in treatment and recovery, we have the prevention, the treatment, and then recovery. So those fields, when they're broke down into individual basis, a lot of the things we like to do is, my side is what we're doing in the prison, treatment, and then want to get them on the road to recovery when they're released from incarceration. We have our treatment specialists coming in doing the Vivitrol program and trying to set them up with a month's supply when they are released, and then they follow up with our treatment specialist from drug and alcohol upon release. So we're getting some positives out of that. This was something that was started probably just a few years ago, but then COVID hit, and then we had, everything was shut down, so we fell behind. So we're really kind of just getting to recover and get that back on track now.
Kind of ramping back up.
Yes.
I hear that from a lot of our other community pharmacy owners that are throughout the nation. I'd like you to kind of give us what has worked in the county with regards to uh, you know saving people that went through an overdose. Obviously, the world of Narcan has changed a little bit now that you can get it over the counter instead of just prescription. But I kind of want your ideas as someone in law enforcement, then also recognizes the need for more education, and just share with us some of the things you've done at a county level that has worked, and then also give a call out to local community pharmacies that haven't necessarily been involved as much, which we'd love to get them more involved in what you're doing.
Right. First, I would start with the Narcan that you mentioned. We have through our Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association, and we've been able to supply Narcan to any jail across Pennsylvania that wants it, that is able to have it on hand. We had a case probably a little over a year ago where we had just gotten Narcan in our jail, and it was probably about a week after we had police drop off a individual who started seizing and was going in from an overdose, and the Narcan was able to I believe, save his life at that time. And so without having that on hand, it would have been hard to tell, what would have happened after that. But from a law enforcement perspective, this was also a couple years ago, right towards the beginning end of COVID, in between there, when our current governor, Josh Shapiro, was the attorney general. We partnered with the attorney general's office and our local district attorney's office on the LETI program, which is Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative.
Okay.
So that gives someone that may have an addiction problem the ability to what's called a self-referral. The individual can just come turn themselves into a county law enforcement agency saying, hey, I need the help. So then we do the contact sheet, and they're referred to the Fayette County Drug and Alcohol. The next step is somebody that may be picked up on minor charges with, possession, nothing that's going to be large with intent to deliver any firearms. But there's times, and this is the call of our DA's office, and there's certain guidelines. But if they follow through with the program, then the charges can be taken care of or dismissed at a later date, as long as they go through treatment, show the will that that's the way they want to go.
Yep. So the idea I'm now thinking for counties, and I mean, I'm curious what you think of this. So now that Narcan is available over the counter, you and I were talking before recording, hey, if you get Narcan, that's the start of something. That could be a start of a new pathway for your life, and getting from one stage, which is being revived, to now let's get you on treatment.
Right.
And we were talking about, follow up with individuals that were Narcan. How could a community pharmacy become involved now that you can, now that there are substances that are becoming less and less regulated, where they could become more involved in ongoing treatment for community for cases that fit? Not necessarily, like I was saying before, you have those people that need to go to an inpatient, they need a bed, they need to stay somewhere for 30 days and become,
Right.
clean and get it out of their system. But then there's other people that are working people. I guess you could call them functional people that are dealing with addiction.
Right.
And I mean, that's
We've
still
all
bad for your
seen
health.
those. Right.
But those are the candidates that there's a lot of them out there that are dealing with that, where the community pharmacy can now become the baton. You hand the baton now to that community pharmacy to get involved in
Right.
treatment.
And I think we was talking about Commissioner Dunn earlier, and I think if we start a countywide marketing with our pharmacists that operate in the county, and make them become more aware of it and involve them with our treatment providers, that I think we'll see more success on the overdoses. Because I think last year we were up in the 80s as far as overdose deaths. Before that, it was in the low 70s, and the year before that, it was in the 50s. So we're going to have to try something different, maybe outside the box, to bring these numbers down, because right now, we're going the wrong way.
Right.
So we're looking
Could be
for,
just awareness too.
right.
So as a commissioner and looking to the commissioner role, John, what ideas do you have to involve churches, community pharmacies that other organizations that you've run into who are versed and who understand what it is to be in addiction? But what ideas have you had in this?
Well, the one thing that I will tell you, and Jim's with me, or Jim's here today, and he mentioned Scott, but they've been overwhelmingly accessible for all these things. And that's one thing that I really think that even as recorder of deeds, I've changed that position to where I'm just not sitting in the office. I mean, I go out and I try to promote things. The churches have to get involved.
Yep.
I mean, we've spoke about this, me and you, Jim and I have spoke about it. The churches have to get involved, and there is a Fayette First movement going on right now, and with several churches getting together, trying to help people change their lives in their way. Like you say, the Narcan is just a stopgap to get to that position where you can talk to counselors, or
Yep.
where you can get the people. And if it has to be the elders or a minister or somebody to help these people or find them a place to be. That's what we have to do. And I guess what it comes down to is a county commissioner. I have to help. I've said this already. My goal is to find the money, find the grants, to help out the sheriff and these things. Find the money to help out the different organizations that are willing to do these things for the community. Because if we fix a part of it, then we can move on to the next part, and
Right.
that's what we have to do.
Yep. And something that's happening in Fayette County, definitely happening in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, is we're
Absolutely.
rehabilitating. You see, when I came here in 2012, this was a crap hole. I was not impressed with Brownsville, right? This place has just gone nuts. Like we've
Right.
seen growth, we've seen cleanup, we've seen new businesses. Look at me. I'm up here. I'm in the heart of Brownsville right now, right above Walter's family's, sandwich shop. There's a attitude that's happening. And with that attitude, I think there's new opportunities for people's minds to change around stigma that sets in about people that need help, because some of these people that got addicted, they got addicted because their physician prescribed something that they thought was safe, and then all of a sudden they became addicted to it. So I mean, that's part of this all too.
And that happened here in Brownsville, and you bring up another great topic. Stigma is another barrier.
Absolutely.
And I just want to mention another thing that came to mind. For the last 3 years, Columbus Day weekend in October here in the county, we brought it's called Faith in Blue event, and it's talking about churches, and this was something that was started by cops, community oriented policing, and its idea behind it is get our faith-based community and our law enforcement together and host a community picnic or games and any type of event, just to bring the community, law enforcement together and develop that trust, because there's a stigma there on both sides.
Yep.
And that's how I started changing my mind as far as becoming more a believer in medical assisted treatment.
Yep.
And getting people into rehab, because as a young trooper working drugs back in the 90s, and those types of cases, hey, they're dealing drugs, they're using drugs, let's arrest them and get them out of here. But then you realize, you're not going to arrest your way out of this, because
Yeah,
the
true.
same drugs that was here in 96 is here, and it's more
Yeah.
now. So, there's been a lot of arrests. So, we have to change our thinking and move on to different times. And that's, what led me to, hey, let's give people help more and rehabilitate. So, I'm a strong believer. I've seen the tragedies and the devastation caused by drugs in their families. So
Yep.
it's been, a lot of sad cases and families that just never recover. So, that's nothing else. Break the stigma, come together as a community, whether you're, law enforcement or somebody that's has an addiction to drugs.
Yep.
But, and that's the whole purpose behind that LEDI program, the Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative. Let's bring that in.
I want to just bring it up to the listeners. So if you're listening, you're a pharmacy owner, you have a pharmacy right there in the community. If you haven't reached out to your local sheriff's office and designed a program, designed a picnic, designed a drug awareness opportunity, even with those take back days where the DEA helps coordinate within the counties to do drug take back, but take advantage of those opportunities to do more with your local sheriff and build programs that will help to market your community pharmacy as part of the solution. And like John and James said, bring in churches, because churches are very powerful community leadership organizations too, and kind of try to self-heal it, because you can't law enforcement your way out of it, and you can't Narcan your way out of it. And it's just like, the community has to take responsibility too. That's kind of part of
Right.
what I'm saying. You kind of have to.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank both of you for spending time with me on This Week in Pharmacy. This is important. This is not just my county and my community, but this is happening all across the nation. So this representation is important. And John Marietta and James Custer, I really appreciate you. And
Hey,
thank you so much for your
well,
service.
thank you.
Thank you
and
for
do it
having
again.
us.
Appreciate
We
it.
will. We will definitely do again. Stand by, and we'll hear more from our sheriff's office right here in Fayette County, Pennsylvania.